Now these are my own statistics, so I made them up, but no scientific study at all. But I bet they're pretty accurate. That so 30 people a year get killed in the United States on horses. So about, I don't know, 2 in Canada. And there's other horse wrecks where people don't get killed. Just, they just get hurt, or they just, something happens. But 50% of them is because the saddle's not tight. Like a full 50% is because the saddle's not tight. So you gotta keep checking it, because especially if the horse is working really hard, or you go up the mountain and he hasn't drank, they'll dehydrate. They'll shrink up quite a bit. Not even just blowing out, they'll just shrink. So you gotta keep an eye on your saddle. So going downhill, and if you see me doing something that you have no idea what I'm doing or why I'm doing it, feel free to ask. And I will do it. I have no expectation for you to memorize. All of us kind of learn differently. Rocky is 29, which there's hardly been any horses here in the last 50 years that have lived to be 29. 1 or 2. So we're really happy to have him, because he's the best teacher in the world, and we're trying to get every bit out of him that we can. Hey, big boy. She said that Rocky is motivated by more than food, right? So most horses are just motivated by survival. In the beginning, for somebody that's just new, you might only be able to think of your bubble as here, as your space, as right here, and Rocky's space as around him. And you're just kind of moving his space around. But as soon as possible, you want to get so that you are thinking of Rocky's space as here. So really I'm inside of that. And my space is out here all the way around. And you want to think of this as kind of like a electrical current. The best place for communication with the horse is when those spaces touch, right? Horses talk to each other in the space. They don't do language at all, or very limited expression in language. And they do quite a bit of body language and body position within the space, but mostly the talking is stuff you can't see, other than this horse will be coming towards that horse, and that horse will stop out there 20 foot away, right? And you're like, oh, what was that? It felt the other horse's space. So the first thing I want to do is to be able to draw my horse's attention to me, so that it's like if you're in a classroom and you're trying to learn something from the teacher. If you are looking out the window, you're not learning what they're touching. So it's the same with the horse. They want their attention to be with you. And the intent in my head is that his attention be on me, and that when I move, he keep his attention on me. So that's the picture I have in my head. And then I have a fire hose that is coming out of my gut, or a garden hose that goes from 0 to... Right? Horses are irrational. They react as big to a squirrel as they do to a grizzly bear. It's just how they are. So, so my fire hose coming out of my stomach is, right now it's on a 1, right? And then it goes to 0. My energy that is my body that's going with my horse keeps going. So stopping when you release is a tool that could go in the toolbox. And I want you to picture that you have this giant toolbox that you're just going to keep adding tools in. So you use stopping when the horse has struggled, or you've struggled and you've got it. You're like, okay, I'll stop, I'll release, right? But for the most part, we want to release in motion, so that if we're riding the horse and we're walking and we ask him to trot and we release, we don't want him to stop, right? We want to keep going. So the release is separate from the energy of going with. So I'm walking on what I call the bicycle chain. Comes out of his eyes, goes around here, and goes in on the side of his tail. Good. And then as soon as he does that, go back to the bicycle chain. Good. Yeah, beautiful. Good job. And then go to his butt so he's got some room, someplace to go. Atta girl. Try to do it by making your feet go forward, not backwards. Which means you just... So what he's telling me about you there is that you're not going to zero, hardly ever, and what you perceive as not very much energy is a lot of energy. So, and this is like our tendencies, right? So we thought we were getting to zero, and we thought we were operating in 0 or 1. And when you tell Carmen this, she's like, yeah, I knew that about myself, but nobody else knows that about me, right? So
everyone says, oh, you're so calm under pressure. But really inside, I'm like,
so then you just realize that that's your tendency, and you just work at. So what you're going to work at now is what you think of as -3 to 0, and back to -3. Right? It's going to be, you're like, you've probably never even been there. Right? So it's a whole new deal. So you're going to be pretty patient with yourself. So if you were in pressure for 4 minutes, wait and release for 4 minutes. If you were in pressure for 2 seconds, wait and release for 2 seconds. Or longer. Your release should be the same or longer, not shorter than the pressure. You know, you have to get in there and play with it and just see what happens and not have too many expectations.